Hmm?
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot-Niblink. I'm the creator of Apples and Genos, originator of the Zero-G Draft Strategy, and in this podcast, Blake and I are going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend, the Analyst Supreme, Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Oh, much better now, my man. If you're calling me the Analyst Supreme, I mean, this is a banner day over here. You know what I mean? This is my Graceland, sir. Graceland's where Elvis was born, Nate. Elvis
true.
Presley. Have you ever heard of this man?
I have heard of him. Actually, fun fact about me, I played Conrad Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie. It was a character based on Elvis Presley. So
yeah, that's a little before my time, Nate. I don't think I saw that, but give us a little ditty. What do you got there?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Oh God, yeah, he's got a very sore throat, folks. It's what? Maybe next time we can do like kind of a duet situation. Are you into something like that? Like I have a guitar in the back. We could.
That sounds terrific. God. I can't wait.
Nobody wants to hear that, Nate. All right, it's terrible. We're gonna lose listeners immediately. Anyways, we got to get to biz. We got stuff going on here.
We absolutely do need to get to biz. Much unlike my beer league hockey team tonight. Please, Blake, take my mind off it. Let's get into some newsies.
Newsies! We got to talk about the NHL news, and it feels right. All right, there's a ton of stuff going on, a ton of crazy crap, too. I mean, you and I haven't talked about McDavid being injured yet, so is that bad, Nate?
I've been told that McDavid being injured is suboptimal for many people in fantasy hockey.
Oh, God. All right. I've got him in two spots. I got the luck of the draw. I got 2 number 1 picks, and McDavid's out, and I'm getting smashed. And, McDavid doesn't give a damn. All right. You get your ass out there, and you get on those skates, and you get the biz. No, he's injured. But, yeah, the Oil were able to pick up a nice win. And, buddy, Zach Hyman, thank you. Thank you, Zach Hyman. I mean, I guess that's the only way you can score now is on a breakaway. And even then, it's like 50-50. We don't know the situation. But, buddy, thank you for your service. He's back, and it's amazing. With Connor McDavid out, it looks like Ekholm is actually the guy getting the run on power play there. So I thought it was going to be Victor Arvidsson, and it wasn't. All right, he got a little bit, but now it's Matthias Ekholm, which is amazing, actually. Ekholm he's such a stud for fantasy. This guy, you talked about him in one of your preseason episodes, and yeah, hopefully you picked up Ekholm where you could. This guy's a legend, but missed opportunity for Arvidsson, but he's cooking regardless. Actually, he's on a line with Draisaitl and One Punch Podkolzin. Buddy,
yeah,
he demoed Jeremy Lauzon. That was maybe a year in the making. I don't know. Lauzon's been out there just beefing everybody, and Podkolzin's like, you know what? Enough's enough, buddy. He clocked him.
Yeah, that was actually one of the, sometimes you're like, oh, I think that punch really connected, but you can't quite get it because of the angle or whatever. That one, we had the perfect sideline angle, and holy, that was quite the punch.
That was like a UFC punch. Ooh, yeah, you can tell his brain is definitely hitting the other side of his head. Shout out to Jeremy Lauzon. Hope he's all right. We don't want anyone to get hurt, but yeah, Podkolzin. Legend. All right. And I was talking about Victor Arvidsson, though. 4 points in 5 games. Pretty nice stuff. We'll talk about him a little later. Over to the island, Matt Barzal returned to Long Island to be assessed by the team's doctors after suffering an upper body injury in the Isles last game. Bad to worse over there in New York for the Islanders, although they were able to pull out a win here tonight on Friday night, which is great. Barzal was able to finish the contest, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Honestly, there isn't a glut of guys to take his place on the Isles. That's the thing. This team they're not good. I like the Siplikov signing. I really like that, but I mean, Barzal is clearly their best player and their best offensive driver, and now this guy's out. So, it could get a little stinky there. The Isles have been shut out 4 out of 10 games. Damn.
Yeah.
All right. That's what you call low event hockey. All right, folks. But Patrick Waugh is still doing stuff. He's still rattling the what's that gate in between the benches? He just smashing it. He was losing his crap tonight too. Mike Riley actually took a scary hit, and he wanted a penalty on Jordan Greenway. There. Yeah, and he was pretty ticked. But I don't know. We'll see. The jury's out on Patrick Waugh as a coach. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good results so far. That's for sure. It feels like Waugh's been in some weird situations as a coach, and so I don't have like strong feelings about him. He's been away from coaching and then just came back, obviously, at the end of last year. I don't feel too strongly, but the returns have not been good enough. If this keeps up, like he's going to be gone by Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, jury's out for sure, but it's not looking good right now. They gotta get something going. Maybe this win will kickstart some stuff there. Let's move over to the Avalanche of Colorado. Machine Gun Valley, Valerie Nichushkin. He's likely going to be cleared to practice with the Avs in early November. That's awesome. And if he is in fact reinstated, we're probably looking at like a November 13th or November 15th return. And the Avs can sorely use him. They got the massive injuries here. Really stinks. I mean, Ross Colton, buddy. What? I mean, are you okay? Have you been okay? Like this, I mean, he came back, he scored another goal and then blocked a shot. He's got a broken foot. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. What the hell are we doing here? Why can't we have nice things, Nate?
I don't know. Yeah, it's I posted on Twitter, I posted the scene from Star Wars where Luke is just like grieving the loss of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. And he's just like, I can't believe he's gone. Like that's how I feel about Ross Colton.
The thing with Ross Colton too is like he was so good, but I mean, what's the team even going to look like when he comes back in 6 to 8 weeks? Like we got Lehkonen on the shelf, who's probably coming back soon. We got Nichushkin is coming back. I don't think his role on Power Play 1 is secure at all. Like he might just go back to his old role there, like Nichushkin does Power Play 1 pretty damn well. So yeah, I'm interested in Nichushkin. Hopefully you're able to stash him, because I think with the injuries they have now, I think he's just gonna go right on to Power Play 1 and kind of get the business there. But for now, we roll with Ivan. Yeah, this guy put a nice game together, didn't he? He had a bunch of Corsi 4, lots of scoring chances. Like, I mean, I guess that happens when you play on the Avs top 6 and on Power Play 1. So yeah, we like Ivan here. All right, he's a legend, best name in the biz. All right, second best actually to Nick Paul. All right, the most creative name out there. Okay.
Hey, I thought we were gonna call him Jones Paul. Like I thought we agreed on this.
Okay, no, you're right. Actually, it's Nick Jones Paul, or otherwise known as Jones Paul. Right? We're giving him a last name first and the first name last, because we're creative individuals and we're both beautiful and unique snowflakes. Right, Nate?
Many have said this.
Yeah, no, I've been called that many times. It's a term of endearment. All right, let's move on. Macklin Celebrini. Yeah, San Jose. How about these San Jose Sharks? They reached the bottom, and they started at the bottom, and now they're here. All right, I should have started that from the beginning. It's a Drake reference, but 3 straight wins. Damn. That like Mikael Granlund willing this team to win. That's pretty nice. But yeah, anyways, Macklin Celebrini returned to team activities recently. No timeline there. He's dealing with that hip injury, but he's getting closer. He's making positive progress. And I mean, I'm glad to see the Sharks put some wins on the board here. Like, I don't want to see another season like last year. That was terrible, right? I mean, there was a little bit of excitement, and still is, I think, for the San Jose Sharks with the new head coach there. Obviously, the young guys. I love William Eklund, as I talked about him all preseason. But I mean, Granlund, this guy he's going off the rails. I mean, I guess that's kind of an interesting case study. Is like you take a player that's good, or just, quote unquote good, and you give him 22 minutes and all the offensive time that he needs. Like, what would these players do with this crazy opportunity? And Granlund's just interesting to me because he's always been sort of a second line guy, a penalty kill guy, but he's getting buku minutes here. I mean, what do you think? Is Granlund sustainable this year? You probably talked about him on your puzzling players. I don't know if you did, but like, what's your take on Granlund so far this year?
Yeah, he's been much better than before. I mean, I'm not like excited about Mikael Granlund.
But I'm excited, damn it.
Yeah, I can't get all the way there, but I do think that Granlund is somebody that we can be somewhat excited about in terms of at least like staying on your roster all season, where
Yeah.
previously I don't think anybody was expecting him to be much more than a streamer, maybe in deeper leagues. But yeah, I definitely think at least as long as this deployment holds, he's definitely a hold.
I don't think it's ever going away. They'll give him more. They don't even care. He's the forward version of Brock Faber. They do that. All right. Let's move on. Over actually sticking with San Jose. Timothy Liljegren. He was traded to the Sharks for Matt Benning there with Toronto. And reports came out he got power play 1 in practice there. So Jake Wallman stonks down. All right. But Wallman doesn't need power play 1 to cook. All right. As long he just needs deployment, I think, to cook, for what maybe we thought Jake Wallman would do, but obviously his ceiling is going to be capped, not getting power play 1 if that does hold. But talk to me about Timothy Liljegren, because this is a player you've been able to watch a little bit, Nate.
Yeah, it's a player I'm interested in for sure. He's played power play. He's played power play 1 in Toronto for brief stretches. Yeah, he's got some offensive acumen for sure. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that he's better than Jake Wallman at doing those things, but he's definitely not like significantly worse. And so looks like he's going to get some run here. Looks like they're not entirely pleased so far with what they've gotten out of Wallman and then subsequently Jack Thompson. So, yeah, Liljegren will get some time, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to cement the role there. He's not like a big time shooter or anything, but underrated part of his game. He does hit and block a bit, so I think he's actually quite rosterable at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I read an article recently on The Athletic there just about power plays, and this was by Fluto Shinzawa. He's the Boston beat writer there, but it was an interesting article. He was just talking about how power plays are sort of going away from shots from the point, and they're more focused on getting in closer to the net. So instead of like moving it to the flanks and doing one-timers, it's a lot of like what we saw Florida do last year, which is like overload on one side and it's just quick passes, into the bumper position and letting that guy get the biz. So yeah, I think we've seen it this year too. Like, we'll talk about this player a little bit later, but Aaron Ekblad not getting power play 1, it's like, it's different. And even last year with Dougie Hamilton and Luke Hughes, it's like, you got a shooter and you got a facilitator, and teams are kind of leaning in on that facilitator. Does that track with you, Nate? Is that something you've noticed as well?
Yeah, I don't know how much credence I'm giving it in like my fantasy thoughts day to day, but yeah, I think what's the word I'm looking for? The evidence so far is showing us that, I guess.
I think the words you were looking for were fair enough. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nate. All right, let's move on. Brandon Montour of the Seattle Kraken missed Thursday's game due to the birth of his new baby daughter. Congratulations, Monty. The full Monty. Looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Full Monty. Yeah, he missed the game. Seattle has a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday on the road, so we'll see if Monty joins them. If not, Riker Evans, folks, he's doing stuff out there. He's actually a nice little player. I recommended him to someone who was chatting me up on the Discord, and he proceeded to pop for a goal, and I felt like a legend. I was like, yes, Riker Evans. He's like, he's 1% roster. I'm like, yeah, Adam. All right, let's go. And he popped for a goal, and I'm taking all the credit for that. All right. That's what we do. We got to take the little victories. I do personally. Nate, you're fine, but yeah, every victory that I can stack up, I try and do that. All right, let's move on. Jonathan Marchessault, just a quick note here. He moved up to the top line in Nashville there, which is interesting, right? Because that was obviously their best line: Ryan O'Reilly, Philip Forsberg, and Gustav Nyquist. But yeah, they've changed it up a little bit there. Obviously, they're looking for a little more balance in their top 6. So Nyquist moved down to the second, and Johnny Marchessault moves up to the top line. So that's just something to watch. Make it a homework game. Watch that Nashville game and see what kind of deployment Marchessault gets, what kind of chances, all that stuff. Because yeah, it's not like he's not on the wire or anything like that, but this could be a guy that maybe we're interested in as a buy low, right? Like Marchessault hasn't been popping the hell off, but I mean, if his metrics improve over his time, if he does hold that deployment, might be someone we're interested in, right? This is a guy who shoots, he hits, he Julians. He does it all, doesn't he, Nate?
He does something like that.
Oh God, he won the Conn Smythe, Nate. You put some respect on that man's name immediately. All right, over to Washington. Jacob Chychrun tooting in our faces as usual. dealing with an upper body injury currently, but he was skating with the team in Thursday's practice, so that's good news. Unfortunately, it was in a non-contact jersey. That's bad news. All right. We still don't have an update there, but the fact that he's on the ice is a good thing. Matt Roy as well with Washington. He's real close, according to Carberry there, Coach Carberry, to returning for the Caps, who are one of the most improved teams in the NHL. Did anyone see this coming, Nate?
I don't think many people did.
I don't think we didn't have them as like popping the hell off or anything.
Not to this extent for sure. And like, it looks pretty good under the hood too. Like, we're talking about a team that's up there in all the metrics, like 5v5 over the last couple of weeks here. They're third in the league in Corsi for percentage.
Yeah, love that.
They're second in scoring chance for percentage at 5v5. Like, even without the power play, which has obviously always been a strength there with Ovechkin and Karlsson going back. Yeah, they're getting it done.
Yep. 3 letters for you. P-L-D. All right.
Let's get going.
Yeah, emphasis on the D. All right, that vitamin D. All right, we need to go outside. You get the vitamin D on your skin, and you feel better mentally. All right, that's what we're talking about. What the hell am I talking about? I don't even know. All right, let's move on. Pittsburgh, Brian Rust. That 70-point beauty placed on the injured reserve with a lower body injury. It stinks. Raquel. Yeah, he's getting the benefit there. Big minutes for Raquel, actually, and he's doing stuff with it. That guy's an ad for sure. I think you add Raquel at this point. Yeah, for what he's able to do. He's power play 1 as well. So yeah, we've seen proof of concept before. This is a guy that can get some stuff done with Pittsburgh. Moving over to Carolina, nothing could be finer except Freddie Anderson is out again. This is not cool. Out week to week. So we're firing up Kochetkov here. I think he's going to get the run there while Anderson is out. And if he's able to do something with it, maybe he really takes a stranglehold on that 1A in Carolina, because obviously they're doing their thing again this year. Metrics wizards over there. Number 1 in Corsi for percentage, number 1 in scoring chances for percentage. That's what they do at 5-on-5. And they look pretty good out there. How about that Martin Necas? Nate, Martin Necas, he's doing stuff. Oh, he's another victory for me. Yeah. Well, I'm taking it for now. What is it, like 9 games in? Oh my God. I just jinxed myself. I'm knocking on the wood. Because yeah, we need Martin Necas to cook, because I've got him on like 5 teams. It's a problem. All right. Last but not least, Mark Stone. Hi, Mark. Bye, Mark. All right. He missed practice due to the birth of his child. That's awesome. Congratulations to this man. If he can't play, look for Pavel Dorofeyev to jump up to the top line. He's already playing power play 1. So Dorofeyev's a really nice piece this season. He's cooking right now. Nate, we got to get into the schedule. We got to attack that schedule. We got to beat the living hell out of that schedule. You ready for this?
Schedule tech is here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into it. We got 2 games on the Monday. We got 11 games on Tuesday, 3 games Wednesday, 12 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, 12 games Saturday, and 3 games Sunday. Yeah, this is light on the light nights, heavy on the heavy nights. In total, that's 47 games played. So that's a light week overall, just in terms of sheer games played. We've only got 1 team here with the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week. That's LA. So if you do have an open spot on that 11-game Tuesday, you can look at LA streamers to get you a little bit ahead to start the week. 2 teams with Monday, Wednesday off nights to open the week. That's Nashville and Edmonton. 3 teams with Wednesday, Friday off nights. Detroit, Washington, Vegas there. 2 teams with Friday, Sunday off nights. Anaheim and Minnesota. It is a tough week. There's no 2 ways about it. Yeah. It seems like we're getting every other week here. We get a great streaming schedule, then we get a terrible one, then we get a great one again. I did look ahead to week 6, and it's great again. So the trend continues so far, but
something to look forward to.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, because it's a little bit of a light week here, you're probably still going to have at least one of those heavy nights, you're going to have some open roster spots. So go through your team and figure out where those open spots are and see what that opens up for you in terms of who you can stream and where you can get some games played. So make sure you're going through and tailoring your ads to match there. Obvious play here, Edmonton, Nashville for the off nights, Monday, Wednesday. Translate that into an Anaheim or Minnesota play, and you get the 2 off nights on the Friday, Sunday. That's your quick and easy way to get 4 off nights if you need them this week. All right, Blake, let's move right along. Let's get over to some lowered expectations.
We got to lower those expectations way down. All right. This week is just a crapshoot. Let's be honest. No way. You listen to Apples and Genos. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you over the hump. That's what we do, right, Nate?
Absolutely.
Except here, we got to lower these expectations. All right. I'm sorry about this, folks, but yeah, there's 4 teams here. Lowered expectations is the worst teams to stream or drop players from. We're going to talk about some bubble players, and I'll start with the 4 teams that have the clear worst schedule here in week 5. And they are the Dallas Stars, Florida Panthers, New York Rangers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They all play 2 games with 0 off nights, and that show ain't no good. All right. It's really bad. But that's fine. I mean, let's look at some of these players. I think Dallas really is the team where you're going to have to make the hardest decisions, right? Because they're so balanced, and these middle 6 players, they are popping off, right? As usual, Matt Duchene. What the hell? I'm going to stop talking about this man. First off, as a sell high, he's never a sell high. He just is who he is. Matt Duchene, he doesn't care. 1-year contract, doesn't give a damn. He's going to pop off. He's crushing for Dallas right now. But I mean, the rostership's not super high. So you got Matt Duchene there. You got Thomas Harley, who I held through this week. It was rough. He's not really putting points on the board. Like, first off, I mean, talk to me about those 2 players, because I think those, and maybe throw Tyler Seguin in there as well. Seguin's really been popping off here as of late. Harley, Duchene, and Seguin. I mean, what are you doing with those 3 players in this streaming week here, Nate?
Yeah, it's a tough week to hold on to anybody for sure. Dallas has been tough in general because they had a light schedule this week with them going over to do this global series against Florida here. So, yeah, if you haven't dropped them already, then you may still be thinking about it upcoming. I'm trying to hang on to Harley. I'm trying to hang on to Duchene. Yeah, that's, I think, where I'm drawing the line right now. I think the other guys that you might have from there, I think I would be okay to let them go. Obviously, it depends too. Like, if you're going to tell me that you're really only getting an extra single game out of a streamer, and that streamer is going to be, some third liner from Anaheim or something like that, like, that's not worth it to me. So it definitely matters who you're dropping for. But if you actually can find a stream that you really like and a player that you're into, an ad that you really want to make, then I think I would be okay doing that.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Like, I mean, we preach maximizing games played here, but yeah, like 3 games of player X or 2 games of Matt Duchene, or like Matt Duchene is on a 107-point pace. Jeez. I mean, he looks good out there too. So, Matt Duchene's maybe a bad example because you're not dropping Matt Duchene most likely, like, with this kind of production. But I mean, a player like even Logan Stankoven, right? 5 points in the last 5 games. He's got 10 points in 10 games on the season. So, and he looks really good. I watched the game today. You know who he reminds me of is Connor Garland. He reminds me a lot of Connor Garland, but with better hands, like a better offensive acumen. Like, this guy, he's really good at board battles. He's a great offensive driver. You can tell he's really kind of, driving the bus there. As a player I'm interested in, but like, those players. So Stankoven, Marchman is another player, like, amazing with his own entries. This guy's, he's legit. Mason Marchman is having a really nice season, and Jamie Benn. So talk to me about Jamie Benn, Logan Stankoven, and Mason Marchman and what you're doing there.
Yeah, I think again, they don't have off nights, so if you're benching them, like, you got to let them go, I think, with anybody after Harley and Duchene.
You got to let them go, sir. You ever see Top Gun? I know that might be a little bit before
yes, I have.
Remember, that's what they said when Maverick had Goose in the water and he wouldn't let him go because Goose was dead. Sorry, everybody. Spoiler alert. You got to let him go, sir. Oh, God. Do you ever, like, did you watch it a lot, or have you, like, watched it one time and you're just saying you?
Once, maybe twice.
Oh, my God. Okay, I'm sorry about this. Yeah, anyways, it's a great film. You need to watch it a lot more. But what I want to talk about is the music in that scene where Goose dies. All I have to hear is about 2 seconds of it. I get misty, like, immediate. Like, I get that single tear. And when, like a lot of men, when you start to get that single tear, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, don't you? You just look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, and then you squeeze a couple more out. You know what I'm talking about, Nate? Can you relate to that?
Yes, definitely.
God, you know what? This is Nate, I don't need the hesitation. All right. This is like theater sports. It's yes and all right. We riff on each other. We go crazy. Anyways, we'll workshop that offline. Let's move on. I'm yammering. This is insane. Okay. So yeah, that's Dallas is the team I think you're gonna have the most problems with getting off some of the players there. So moving on to Florida, we got Sam Bennett, Aaron Ekblad, who had a big game here today, 3 assists in that global series today. I got some questions on him already. Anton Lundell still doing it. Right in third line minutes, second power play. And then Evan Rodriguez, of course, pops the hell off today as well. So talk to me about your Florida Panthers. And, again, two games, 0 off nights. Like, it's going to be hard to hold these guys. And again, it's like the Thursday and Saturday. So you're just sitting on them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, it is tough to hold on. Bennett's been so good so far that it is really tough to move away from him. Yeah, that's probably the toughest one for me personally to think about moving off of. The other 3, I don't feel any type of way about letting them go, to be honest with you. Yeah, Lundell back down to the third line with Boqvist and Luosterainen. Second power play, like he may outproduce, like he may do something good, but that's going to be the outlier with this kind of deployment. So I'm okay to drop Lundell. I'm okay to drop Ekblad. Ekblad, like I feel like Ekblad like hoodwinked the fantasy community with that one good season. Like, go back and actually look at his seasons and tell me which one was the good one. Like, it's not hard to figure out what's going on here. He's never been this guy except for one single season. And it was a great season, don't get me wrong, but he's never been that before. He's not good on the power play when he is there. Like, there's a reason he's not on the power play. Yeah, I think people like have this view of Aaron Ekblad like he's some terrific defenseman that they're just not utilizing correctly, and to me, that's just false. I think they're using him the way that he should be. They're still kind of searching for a power play 1 quarterback to make everything work. But yeah, I don't think Ekblad is the answer either.
Yeah, it's pretty damn telling when you can't get power play 1 over Uvis Balinskis. Okay, I mean, yeah, they obviously don't like something about Ekblad on that top power play. So yeah, I'm with you there. I'm holding Bennett, but the other one's kicking him to the curb. All right, New York Rangers, the next team up here. Bubble players there. Jacob Trouba. Obviously in Banger League, you're holding on to Jacob Trouba, but I mean, in a points league, bye. Right. Bye, Felicia. Get the hell off my team. Keandre Miller, Will Cooley, which is kind of he's an exciting little player here, right? That's a guy I'm interested in season long. Riley Smith, Philip Hedo, Macro P. All right. We love Philip Hedo on the Macro P. All right. Somebody call Guinness. We got a world record over here. Nate, talk to me about the Rangers and your thoughts on these beauties.
Yeah, Trouba's the only one I'm hanging on to in Bangers Cats. If it's not Bangers Cats, if it's just some kind of point setup and you don't have major Bangers weight, then I'm comfortable dropping every single one.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I do like Will Cooley in a Bangers League, though. He does that, right? So, but again, 2-game week, it's going to be tough. You might be able to drop him and then pick him up later. So move on to Tampa. Anthony Cirelli, Jones Paul, a.k.a. Nick Paul, and Yanis Moser. Moser, I can't wait to kick this man off my team. He's done just enough for me to warrant having him on my team in Cacuffle, but I'm like, no, buddy, get the hell out of here, all right? You're doing jack squat. All right, I kept them for the games played, but any interest in those 3 players there this week?
Yeah, I think the real interesting part is that Cirelli and Paul have actually been putting up points, but the underlying metrics look horrific with these guys. And so, yeah, I'm not interested in hanging on to any of them.
Yep, they're gone. They're out of my sight. Next team down that has a pretty stinky schedule as well, Seattle Kraken. They play 2 games with 1 off night. And, yeah, I mean, they play the Tuesday and then they do play the Friday. But, you know, they got so many guys on that team that are streamer level. It's like if you drop somebody like Matty Beniers, let's say you drop Matty Beniers, who's rushing out to grab him? Nobody, right? Because if you want somebody else for that Friday game, there's probably you'll probably have your selection there at that point, right? But I mean, we got to talk about some of these guys. You know, Jordan Eberle, Matty Beniers in particular. I think those guys are their offensive players. Adam Larson, your beefer. The Jerk Store, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Riker Evans, that 1-goal legend, power play substitute. Eli Tolvanen, Chandler Bing Stevenson. Why would anybody roster Chandler Stevenson? I don't understand, unless it's like a defense only league or something. I mean, how would you even score that? Like, I don't know, goal differential or something, face off wins. I don't know, but anybody you're interested in holding for that one off night here this week, Nate?
Yeah, I don't think there's really anybody here. The Eberle's been playing pretty well.
Yep.
He looks the best to me moving forward. Obviously, he's the captain now, so he's got like the title to go along with all that.
He's the
Getting
captain now.
relatively consistent deployment. Beniers has some points, but again, the underlying metrics still don't look good. I think that was just some positive regression for him kicking in. Yeah, there's not really anything here. Chandler Stevenson, like, go back and watch the goals that Toronto scored and watch for number 9 on Seattle and just watch how he literally is just watching the play happen around him and literally like not even moving his stick.
Oh, so he's not even good at defense anymore? Is that what you're telling me about Chandler Stevenson? For God's
At
sake?
least for those plays, it was hard to watch. That's $44 million at work for the Seattle Kraken.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you tweeted about this, and I wasn't sure I understood what the hell was going on. I'm like, 44 million? Okay, all right. He's got some pretty cryptic tweets here and there. You gotta follow Nate on Twitter. All right, that's where he brings the tweet heat at Apple's Genos. Get in there. All right, let's move on. Forget the Kraken. Although you better watch yourself when you talk about Matty Beniers. All right, this man is locked. He's a lock for 60 this year. Book it.
Okay. All right.
All right, that's fine. Moving on to another team, Vegas. They've got 2 games played with 2 off nights, so that is valuable, right? We'll be able to get some Vegas players in. Oh God, my thing's all over the place here. Yeah, so Vegas they play the Wednesday and the Friday. So yeah, I mean, you know, maybe you can get LA has a Monday, Tuesday. If you can get someone in on the Tuesday, that might be kind of nice. Like LA get the back-to-back, then a Vegas team, Vegas player. That'd be pretty darn nice. Then you can worry about your Friday, Sundays. I don't know. Anyways, I'm digressing, but yeah, let's talk about Vegas and some of the players that are on the bubble here. We got, come on, Bobby, let's go party. I mean, Bobby Chef, he's there. All right, and he's doing jack squat. I mean, actually, I didn't look at his metrics, so I should probably do that. Yeah, all right. Yeah, he's getting 4 points in 5 games. Okay, so he's doing something. But yeah, this is good podcasting, folks. Anyway, you got Barbashev, you got Noah Hannafin, the forgotten one over there in Vegas. They signed Theodore to a massive deal. What does it mean for Hannafin? I mean, he's just a role player at this point. That, like, Theodore's cooking. He's popping the hell off. So I don't know. You got Hannafin out there, Will Carlson, Braden McNabb for the beef, and then Pavel Dorofiev, who I think both of us are actually pretty damn interested in. And I like that 2 off night week here. That's a guy that I wish their off nights were Monday, Wednesday, because I just hold them into that and then, you know, see what goes on. But yeah, you're going to have to wait till Wednesday to get a game from Dorofiev, but you'll get him in. I mean, talk to me about the Golden Knights here. And are you interested in rostering any of these guys for this particular week?
Yeah, I mean, it does depend again with your off nights. Like if they're gonna get in for 2 off nights, and that's honestly the best you can do at that spot anyway throughout the week, which is definitely possible, then you can think about it for sure. Yeah, Barbashev, obviously 16 minutes a night. The underlying metrics actually look pretty good with Ivan Barbashev.
Don't tell me this.
You can hang on there. Hannafin, I'd let go. Carlson, I'd let go. McNabb, obviously bangers only anyway, and I'd let him go. You can replace those hits and blocks. Dorofiev, I'm trying to hang on to.
Yeah.
Like, it looks really good for him right now. Obviously, 7 points in 5 games. Had a huge game there last Saturday. 17 minutes average time on ice. 5th in the league in shots per 60. 14th individual scoring chances 4 per 60 over the last 5 here. Like, there's at least a chance, and we talked about this. We talked about Dorofiev in the flagship show last week, or at the beginning of this week, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a profile that you have to get excited about. Not every single one of these profiles is going to hit and hit all season long, but these are the type of profiles that can hit all season long, right?
Yep.
And so that's a player I'm not ready to give up on, even in a tough week.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked on Pavel Dorofiev. I've got him in 2 spots. I'll probably hold. I'll probably hold till at least Wednesday. If he has some stinky game on Wednesday, I'll be like, I'll probably still hold, even for Friday. Like, what? He's got the off nights, for God's sake. So that's a nice little piece there. I like me some Pavel Dorofiev. There are 13 teams that have 3 games played, all on the busy nights. So that's going to be really tough, right? You're only going to be playing your best guys off those teams. So I'm not going to go through all those. But buddy, we gotta get into our favorite segment that we like to call Crossing the Streams. Yeah, we got to cross those streams. Nate, you and I cross those streams so many times that sometimes it gets a little, it gets a little, not boring. That's not the right word, but just, it's like an everyday thing. And I was thinking, I don't know, there's 4 podcasters. We got 4 guys. What would happen if Josh and Gugs, what if we just crossed 4 streams together? You know what I'm saying? And made like an absolute mega stream. Like at that point, it's not even about friendship anymore. It's about the human experience and like taking it to the limit. You know what I'm talking about? Like, have you ever thought about that?
Yes, it occupies my mind nightly. I'm just constantly consumed with thoughts of crossing the streams with 3 other men. So,
damn, just think about the PSI we could create. I mean, you could basically like clean an entire driveway in about 5 minutes. That I just want to see what the human body can do. I mean, and take it to the limit, right? Take it to the limit. You ever watch Scarface, Nate? Do you know that movie?
I am aware of the movie Scarface.
Oh
I have not watched it.
That song's called "Taking It to the Limit," and yeah. Anyways, Al Pacino dancing and snorting a bunch of cocaine. We're taking it to the limit. We're crossing the streams. We're getting into it here, folks. Sorry, I digressed. Let's move on. There's some good teams here. Well, that's a lie. All right. There's teams that have some people that we can, put on our team. Anyways, there's 3 teams with the best schedule. Best is in quotation marks. Minnesota, New Jersey, and Nashville. They all play 4 games, which is nice, but they only have 2 off nights there. And yeah, it's not awesome, right? So we'll start with Minnesota. Minnesota plays Tuesday, and then they have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. So, I mean, if you can get a player in on Thursday for Minnesota, that's a nice piece. And then they play on Sunday. So that's Minnesota there. We're looking at Marco Rossi, who's still getting top-line deployment with Kaprizov there. That's a great place to be. Even though he's getting power play 1, like Cap is on 1 right now. He's flying just as Nate predicted, everybody. So he's cooking out there. Ryan Hartman is coming back off injury, but I don't know what his deployment is going to be like. Marcus Johansson, Nate, you left him off the show sheet, and that's hurtful. All right, I had to add him in here because I got to tell you, Nate, Marcus Johansson. Let's look at this player here. Oh God, I'm off my thing. Where the hell is Marcus Johansson on the sheet? I can't even find him. All right, but
he's got 1 goal in his last 5. He's skating less than 15 minutes. He's 234th in shots per 60.
No, goal the whole way. All right, he has like a shooting. Oh God, this is terrible, Nate. His scoring chances for is like really high. Anyways, you missed a joke. We'll edit it out and post. It doesn't matter. Anyways, don't pick up Marcus Johansson. Anyways, Jared Spurgeon. Oh, yeah. Hey, get the Kleenex. Jared Spurgeon's back in town. All right. And we're happy about that. Although he's not killing penalties randomly, which is kind of strange for a guy that's so good at blocking just in this last game here anyway. And then Middleton. Sure. I mean, whatever. I'm not that interested in Middleton, but yeah, what talk to me about the Minnesota Wild and what you're liking there.
I mean, Middleton's got 7 points his last 5 games. So, yeah, he's doing the thing. He's more of a beefer for sure. Like he's a big time hit block kind of guy. So you can go that route if you need defenseman. If you can get a defenseman in, some people are running less defensemen. They need some hits and blocks. Yeah, Middleton can do that for you. I'm curious to see what happens between Rossi and Hartman moving forward. It wouldn't shock me to see Hartman get up there with Kaprizov at some point. It wouldn't be, yeah. Rossi's been facilitating fine, but I don't know if he's necessarily been adding a lot to Kaprizov's brilliance at 5v5. So keep an eye on that. It could be, like we talked about it, the Wild have their off nights at the end of the week. By the time we get there, it could be Hartman in that spot, and he could be really valuable as an ad later on. Maybe not from like the first day of the week, but maybe throughout the week. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on deployment for Minnesota throughout the week. Basically, you just want exposure to Kaprizov however you can get it. That's how we get points for fantasy from this team.
Love it. I found the stats, everybody. Marcus Johansson, 46 overall in the last 5 games in individual scoring chances for.
That's got to be the best 5 games of his career.
He does that. All right. He cooks. All right. He doesn't cook. I mean, he microwaves. All right. That's kind of the level that Marcus Johansson is at. But let's move on. All right. New Jersey Devils is the next team. Again, 4-2. They play Monday, which is nice. Hello, darkness, my old friend. The same guys all the time. But yeah, they play Monday, Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday back to back. So again, we're looking, I did notice Luke Hughes is not rostered that high on Yahoo. So just putting that out there. If you're in a league where Luke Hughes is available, this is the time to pick him up for this week here. He should be rostered anyway. But I mean, he's a spec ad. He's not doing anything, but he's coming back off injury. Stefan Nason, I think, is your premier streamer for the Devils, in my opinion, just because he's got that power play 1, and he is still getting power play 1, and they like him there. So unfortunately, he doesn't get a lot of 5-on-5 time on ice, or not as much. Also, Paul Cotter's there. Obviously won me that, streamer deathmatch. So I got some love for Paul Cotter. Eric Holla, sure. Dawson Mercer. He's really lowly rostered, and yeah, I get it. The metrics are terrible, but his deployment's not terrible. He's power play 2. He's getting like 18 minutes a night or whatever. Got a short-handed goal the other night. Looked pretty good. It's more who he's attached to, right? And right now, who's he even playing with? He's in the top 6.
He's with Myron Heischer at even strength.
Yeah, and Heischer is going off. So, I think there's some good chemistry there. I did watch the last game with Dawson Mercer, and him and Heischer in particular have some good chemistry. So I like Mercer there. I think, how would you rank these streamers for New Jersey, Nate?
I think I'd still take Nason just for the power play, but it is definitely a conversation between him and Mercer. And then I think I'd take Holla over Cotter at this point. Holla's 36 in shots per 60 over the last 5, getting about 1 minute more per game at the moment. So I think I'd lean Holla over Cotter.
Yeah, for sure. I think Cotter's, he's had his day in the sun. He's back to role player and kind of picking up some points here and there, but nothing we're too excited about. So there's your Devils there. We're the Devils. The Devils. Remember Seinfeld? You don't know, Nate. Never mind. You know who? Oh God, I have to give you some education here lately. All right, Nashville. That's the other team here that has 4-2. Nashville plays Monday, and they have a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. Then they play the busy Saturday. So again, like I talked about Luke Hughes with the Devils, Ryan O'Reilly, he's pretty lowly roster on Yahoo. So if O'Reilly's out there, this is a great week to add him. He should be added on a team anyway because he's power play 1. They're with the team that should pop off here eventually. But the actual streamers we're looking at: Tommy Novak, Gus Nyquist, who did get moved down to line 2. That stinks for him. Jeremy Lozon and Luke Shen for the Beef. Talk to me about even Novak and Nyquist. That's those are the 2 players I think that we're looking at. And then any other ones you want to add there, Nate?
Yeah, I think Nyquist is the one that's the most interesting here, but yeah, I mean, if O'Reilly's out there, for sure, that's the priority guy for sure. But I think in most more serious leagues, he's probably already rostered somewhere. But yeah, I think Nyquist is the best of the rest. But yeah, a little bit of the microwave specialist here as well.
Absolutely, buddy. Imagine putting all these guys on one team. Like that's the whole team, like that level, not worse than that, but like that's the floor and that's the ceiling. That's it. You got Gus Nyquist, you got Marcus Johansson. Who else? I mean, Casey Middlestad. I don't know. We should think about that, like the most mid team of all time, and just calculate what they would actually get in a regular season. I think that's something you should look at in your next research article there, Nate. Are you into this?
Right.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
That sounds fantastic.
That's a verbal contract. Everybody would love to read that. That sounds like must-read material. Let's move on. Okay. There's 5 teams with the next best schedule down. 5 teams that play 3 games with 2 off nights, and they are the Anaheim Ducks, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, Edmonton Oilers, and the Washington Capitals. So let's start over in Anaheim. What the hell is a duck? What is it?
I don't think anybody knows.
Why is it associated with hockey? Has anyone ever seen a duck on ice? Like, is that a thing? I mean, I guess, they're in the lake. What if the lake froze while they were in there? Is that maybe? I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here. Anyways, Anaheim plays Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. And they got a ton of streamers actually. So I think the really key thing with Anaheim is you got to look at who's getting power play 1, right? I'll run through some of these players here, and then maybe we'll talk about who's currently getting the power play 1. But Troy Terry, like really lowly roster, doesn't make sense. He's getting 20 minutes a night. Terry's must roster player. You got to get Terry on your team. To me, Frank Vetrano is out there as well. Leo Carlson, doing stuff, right? Power play one, McTavish, power play one. Cutter Gauthier, of course, I streamed him in on like a couple team, and then they proceeded to play him like 13 minutes or something like that. After he had a massive like shooting bender, Corsi 4 bender, and then they just dumped him. They don't even care. Trevor Zegras, is he still in the league? I don't understand what's happening. And Olin Zellweger, he had me at hello, buddy. This guy's looking pretty damn good. Talk to me about Olin Zellweger, Nate.
Yeah, I'm pretty into Zellweger. He's going to come up later with the guys that we'd like to hold as well. Yeah, maybe it's finally his time. Almost 21 minutes a night. The points are not all the way there, just 2 points his last 5, but 25th shots per 60, 24th individual scoring chances for per 60. Seems to be raising the profile of the team when he's on the ice as well. On ice stats are pretty good. 59th in Corsi 4 per 60 there. Yeah, overall, I'm just pretty into Zellweger, especially if he's going to get 21 a night. I think, yeah, the way that we talked about Brandt Clark, right? It's obviously not as great a situation in Anaheim as it is for Clark currently in Los Angeles, but I think you can draw some comparisons between the two players at the very least at this stage in their career and their relative offensive talent. So yeah, definitely excited about Zellweger, excited to see him get a little bit of run here. I hope they let him actually run with it and don't just demote him back with the first mistake that he makes at some point inevitably. But yeah, definitely excited about that. Definitely excited about Troy Terry as well.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that sounds like something Greg Cronin would do. Brandt Clark, is he good? Is he actually good, Nate? Brandt Clark, have you heard of this? I don't know. Where's this guy coming from?
Yeah, many people have been talking about Brandt Clark and how he's actually good. Who could have foreseen this coming, Blake?
I don't know. You know what? But, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you, Brandt Clark, for your service. Apparently, he's a good player, folks. I didn't know this, but now I do. All right. And still with Anaheim, you got the fresh maker, Pavel Mintyukov. There you go. Cam Fowler, that late night beauty. Alex Killorn, Ryan Strome. These guys are all power play 2 guys. So we talked about Terry. We talked about Zellweger. Anybody else that you're kind of prioritizing a little bit on Anaheim from these players, Nate?
Yeah, not too much. It's hard to get really excited about anybody. The underlying metrics don't look good for anybody except for Cutter Gauthier, but he's not getting minutes at the moment. He's just over 14 minutes a night, but he is first in the league in shot attempts per 60 over the last 5, so
he does
whatever that's worth. Yeah, I think Gauthier's the one you go on the metrics and you hope the deployment improves if you're picking from the kind of scrap heap here.
I'm just stoked that Troy Terry is getting 20 minutes a night. Like that's nice to see because Greg Cronin is a frustrating coach. He was last year, and this is kind of he's backing it down a little bit. So I'm happy there. Keep Zellweger on the power play 1, and we can be friends. All right, I think that's where we're at there. Let's move on. Chicago has the 3 games and 2 as well. For their schedule, we're looking at they don't play until Wednesday, so they play Wednesday, Thursday, and then Sunday. So it's kind of a weird schedule for them. We're looking at Teravainen, Tyler Bertuzzi, Lucas Reichel, who actually just got moved up to power play 1. So that's kind of a player of interest for me there. Philip Kurashev moved down the lineup. I think he's kind of trending downwards there, so I'm not too stoked on him. But Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, Connor Murphy I threw on here because I picked him up in both my banger leagues. And this he's not really banging, but he's slanging offense. He's been doing that. I mean, what a lucky shot there in the dark because I was picking them up for the periffs. But anyways, talk to me about how you're ranking these Chicago players and how you'd like to roster them here.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Teravainen. Seems to be stapled to Bedard. He hasn't had great underlying numbers the last 5, but the last game in particular was better. Granted, it was against the San Jose Sharks, so maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, basically the only thing of interest in Chicago is exposure to Connor Bedard, and Teravainen is the one getting the most of that at the moment. Kurashev on that line at 5v5 at the moment. I'm still not super into Kurashev. Right. Just on that basis alone, he would have to have power play 1 as well for me to actually consider adding him. Tyler Bertuzzi has been doing some stuff. First in the league in individual scoring chances 4 per 60 over the last 5, which is kind of nice. Yeah. It's only resulted in a couple of goals. He's still only at 15.5 minutes average time on ice. So the minutes haven't quite come up there as well, but the underlying metrics looking pretty good. So I'm a little bit in on Tyler Bertuzzi as a secondary option.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Power play 1 and sick metrics. This guy's getting a bunch of chances. Hopefully they start to go in. Connor Bedard's been pretty cold lately. Like I knew he wasn't doing well because I have him in a points league, but yeah, 2 goals in 5 games for Connor Bedard. Metrics are decent, but yeah, he's on a 67-point pace. I'm actually expecting a lot more from Bedard here moving forward. I think we're looking at a point per game player there, I would think, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with Bedard right now. Anyways, let's move on to the next team, which is Detroit. Detroit they play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So on that team, stinky. All right. The streamers are terrible. I'm not interested really in any of these guys, but I mean, of these players, Nate, do you think anyone could do anything? And I'll give you the players: Tarasenko, JT Compher, that ginger beauty, Simon Edmondson, who's actually been paired with Moritz Seider, and they've been looking pretty good out there. That's a really nice top pairing in Detroit. Amongst the dregs of, what they have going on there. And then Eric Gustafsson, I threw him in here, but this is a guy who he either gets power play 1 or he's a healthy scratch. Like, this is not a guy that we can rely on in any capacity for fantasy. So any of those players ringing your bell?
Yeah, not really. Detroit is terrible under the hood, and the guys that should be supporting there's a pretty clear top echelon of guys in Detroit, right? Everybody knows they're the top power play guys, and then it falls off a cliff after those top 5 players. And so it's really tough. Tarasenko's in my mind at this point is a shell of his former self.
He's won his cups.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah. I have some passing interest in Edmondson. He's getting a lot of blocks. So if blocks are highly weighted in your points league, or you need that for your bangers league, you can look that way. And yeah, getting that kind of deployment, close to 23 minutes average time on ice the last 5 games, that'll play. So yeah, if you're desperate in a deep league, you can look at Simon Edmondson. But yeah, I have no excitement about anybody on Detroit outside of the top 5.
High praise for Simon Edmondson here from Nate Groot Niblink. We love that. Okay, over to Washington. That's another team with 3 and 2. They play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and yeah, I mean they got great streamers, really great streamers. But most of these guys in a competitive league, these guys should be rostered, no question. But Tom Wilson, Dylan Strome, obviously, and then Connor McMichael, buddy. This is a guy I picked up, and he just got left wing eligible. So on Yahoo, he's centered left wing. He was a center only before. So I'm in on Connor McMichael. I've got him in 2 spots. This guy's popping the hell off. That second line is popping the hell off with my boy PLD. And I'm really interested to hear your take and the metrics on PLD, Nate. I'm going to pass it over to you here to talk about those 4 players in Washington.
Yep. PLD finally showing some metrics. It's resulted in 1 empty net goal on the season and a 46-point pace, but he's 38th in shots per 60, 21st in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60, 58th in Corsi, 4 per 60, 64th in scoring chances, 4 per 60. Really lucky for him that he managed to attach himself to Connor McMichael, who's an absolute stud. I'm joking. Obviously, it's
you should never joke about PLD. This man. Okay, this is serious, very serious,
very serious. Obviously, good numbers for PLD. 17.5 minutes. That's in the range that it's okay, right? McMichael's a little bit down from that, 16.5, but the underlying metrics are even better with him. So I would take McMichael over Dubois for sure. At the moment, who knows how long McMichael will be hot. I think we forget, McMichael was a pretty highly regarded prospect once upon a time, and then, Washington kind of went through that weird phase, and they had a new coach last year, and things never quite gelled for him. But yeah, this is a guy, another guy who became a dad recently, and maybe he's got some newfound dad strength going on. It's a real thing, right? So, yeah, maybe we got something here with Connor McMichael. I'm into it.
Yeah, me too, buddy. How about Brandon Montour the other night? Before the birth of his kid, he pops for a hattie. That's epic, man. I saw someone on the bench on Seattle. They threw the helmet out there. Good job, for the hat trick. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Brandon Montour this year. But anyways, yeah, I think there's some something there. There's some bits and pieces. I also want to throw out just real quick, with Jacob Chychrun injured, it's Rasmus Sandin, is Trevor Van Riemsdyk getting the bulk of the minutes. Sandin is getting power play 2. TVR is getting a little bit more 5-on-5 deployment. So I think there are options, nothing exciting there, but if you're struggling for streamers, I think they're fine streamers for the week with this schedule. Okay. Over to Edmonton. This is the last team with the 3 and 2. And yeah, Edmonton they play Monday, Wednesday, which is really nice. So I think, Edmonton is a great way to start your week. And, Arvidsson. You got, if you can pick up Arvidsson for Monday, Wednesday, I think that's a great way to start your week. Adam Henrique is out there, Corey Perry's out there, who I'm less interested in those two, but Darnell Nurse too, if he's available, like obviously stinks defensively, but can still do something for your fantasy teams. Is Arvidsson's a clear winner here, Nate? No question.
Yeah, Arvidsson is for sure. I want to note, like, say what you will about Darnell Nurse. I think he's gotten a lot of unfair attention. Yeah, definitely the contract is more than what he gives you. But for fantasy purposes, like, I don't care what it looks like, right? I'm only caring about the numbers coming off. This is a guy who's seventh amongst all defensemen in shots per 60, and he's skating 22 minutes a night on a good team, team that's gonna figure things out more often than not.
Yep.
Like, I'm into it. Like, it's fantasy. It's not real life. I'm into Darnell Nurse a little bit here. If somebody's dropping him, I don't know exactly what his rostership is at
49.
the moment. 49%. So yeah, right around there. If somebody's dropped him recently, maybe feeling like they can't hang on to him with McDavid out, just kind of lowering that bar there, I'd pick him up. I would.
Yep, I love that. It's a great point. It's fantasy. It's not real life, right? So, and he's putting the numbers on the board that get us where we need to go. So I love that. Plus, he's a beefer. He's a mega beefer. So there you go. We're gonna kind of cook along through these last little ones here. We already talked about Vegas here. Vegas does have the 2 games played in 2 off nights. This is the first team I've ever seen good and bad schedule. I don't know, but yeah, same guys apply. We've already talked about those guys. I think Dorofiev is our clear guy there. Barbashev as well, doing stuff. So yeah, we don't need to talk about Vegas there. Let's talk about the LA Kings real quick. They do have 4 games, which is nice, but they only have the 1 off night. So they play Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back, then Thursday, then Saturday. So again, Brant Clark, we already talked about him. This guy needs to be on a roster. I think you got to have him on a roster regardless of the schedule. He's must roster at this point, the way he's cooking right now. I like that. Trevor Moore, Quentin Byfield, and then Alex Laferriere. You know who got me on Laferriere? Josh. Josh was really big on Laferriere. I didn't know the player that well, but I like what I've seen. There's some good highlights, obviously, and I think under the hood, he's been looking good at times. So talk to me about some of these LA Kings here.
Yeah, Clark is obviously the guy to get into. When I made this sheet, he was below 50%. As of now, he's up to 53. So obviously still climbing as he should be.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've said my piece on Brant Clark. Glad to be right about that one.
Oh, yeah.
Trevor Moore, Quentin Byfield, these guys, I'm not excited. Like, Trevor Moore has had a horrific start.
Yeah, he really has.
To
not
the season.
Shooting.
Yeah, not as much anyway as he has in the past. On the season, it's looking okay. Lately, it's gotten even worse, which has me pretty concerned. Byfield's really struggled to figure things out. In the last game, they switched up lines again. They had Turcotte up there with Kopitar and Kempe. They had Byfield between Fogle and Laferriere. Like, they're really casting around trying to make something work for Quentin Byfield right now. And yeah, that's just not a spot where I want to be rostering someone when he's in the midst of, like, pretty clearly in the midst of trying to figure something out at the moment. Laferriere does have good numbers. He's got 4 points in the last 5, just over 15 minutes average time on ice. So this is definitely more of a deep league kind of pickup. But
yep.
Yeah, the underlying metrics aren't terrible. They're not good, I wouldn't say, but they're not terrible either. So you can look that way. Philip Deneau hasn't made it happen this year, but in years past, he's always been a pretty reliable streamer, so I have looked his way as well at times.
There you go. Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? A 4-in-1 week is not really what we're looking for, especially for these caliber of players. So anyways, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, we're going to rapid fire here, Nate. There's 4 teams with 3 games and 1 off night. They are the Columbus Blue Jackets, Pittsburgh Penguins, San Jose Sharks, Toronto. Let's go. You ready, Nate?
Ready.
Okay. For Columbus, talk to me. I think I know the answer here. Marchenko, Chinikov, Sean Monahan, Adam Fantilli, Cole Sillinger, and Damon Severson. Who are you taking there?
Yeah, I got to stick with my guy Marchenko for sure. It is interesting. Like, it seems like Marchenko's the guy that's been, like, kind of stapled to Monahan, and Monahan's obviously been like the #1 center with a bullet
Yep.
so far. So that stayed the same. Chinikov has moved around a little bit. He's back on the top line at the moment, back on top power play. That's all looking pretty good as these things go. Marchenko's underlying numbers are a little bit better. Chinikov's fallen off a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely Marchenko at the moment.
Okay, sweet. I'm with you there. I love that. Also, shout out to Adam Fantilli, that absolute unit. All right. Pittsburgh, we got to talk about the strange erotic journey from Milan to Minsk. Raquel. We do it twice in an episode because we don't care. All right. Ricard Raquel, Michael Bunting, the bunt cake, Lars Eller, and Marcus Pettersson on the back end. Who are you taking there?
Yeah, it's pretty clearly Raquel at the moment. Metrics actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
We've seen this before from Raquel. Like, he's probably not going to convert to any meaningful level, but right now playing with Malkin and Crosby, both at even strength and on the power play. So yeah, that's the spot to be for sure.
Absolutely, buddy. Okay. Next team, San Jose Sharks. They got lots to work with. Who are you taking out of these studs? I mean, obviously Granlund's there. You're taking Granlund. Let's take Granlund out of there. William Eklund, Fabian Zetterlund, Wenberg, Liljegren, Jake Wallman, Tyler Toffoli, or Will Smith. Who's rocking your boat?
Yeah, if Toffoli's out there, you should definitely go for Toffoli. I think he's over 50%, so he's probably gone in most more active leagues. 55% rostered on Yahoo at the moment. Eklund for sure, though. Pretty into 21 minutes a night. The shots aren't there, but the scoring chances are not nearly as bad, and the on-ice stats look even better. So I don't think he's ever going to be like a big-time shooter. So yeah, if your league is all about shots, then maybe he's not as good for you. But yeah, I mean, he's getting 4 minutes more a night than Fabian Zetterlund. So yeah, I feel like you have to go that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am pretty interested in Liljegren. I mean, whoever's getting power play one on the Sharks, like, it's not that bad a spot to be on the top power play for the San Jose Sharks at the moment, and it'll only be better when Celebrini's back. So whoever's running that power play from the back end, I'm gonna want to be a little bit interested in for sure.
Absolutely, buddy. Talk to me about your Leafs. Okay, Matthew Nyes, Maximus Domius, Max Domi, OEL, Max Pacioretty, Bobby McMahon, Nick Robertson. Who tickles your fancy?
Yeah, it's got to be nice, obviously. I will say Pacioretty's been playing pretty well, has seemed to find a bit of chemistry here, at least in the last couple of games with John Tavares and William Nylander. They've been cooking, so that's nice to see. Yeah, you could do worse than a Pacioretty stream if you're in a little bit deeper of a league, but Matthew Nyes for sure. He's got 4 goals in his last 5 games, 17.5 minutes. 66th in individual scoring chances, 4/60. Obviously, the on-ice stats look pretty solid. I'm playing with Matthews and Marner. Yeah, I'm into it with Nyes at the moment with this kind of deployment. I think he can get it done for you.
Let's go. Finally, a Leaf streamer we can get excited about. Damn it, buddy. That's it. Talk to us about the Patreon. All right. We got to make those dollars. All right. This isn't free. All right. We need money to, sustain ourselves, right? For the private jets and the $15 orange juice, right, Nate?
Yes. Exclusively, the Patreon money goes towards my private jet fund. $2 a month. The supporter tier gets you access to the patron-only live shows. Won't be one next week, but there will be one the following week for the month of November. So come check that out. For the Apples tier, $8 a month gets you access to those live shows, but also to the patron-only Discord channels. You can get access to the show notes for this show and for the flagship show as well. Obviously, this show, you're getting all our favorite ad targets as well, all the players written out, all the guys that you might want to look through, all the schedule info that we've talked about. That's all in there. And you also get the player evaluation tool, what Blake and I are constantly looking at, pulling that data, the last 5 games data, the season-long data, so that you can compare all that for yourself. Then for the true degenerates, the Genos tier exists. $15 a month gets you all of the previous perks, but also every single one of your questions answered, guaranteed. Blake, I think I'm ready. Are you ready to get into the dream streams?
You know I'm ready, buddy, but you always undersell yourself, all right? You don't mention the extra features that you do. I mean, Nate is literally going to, I don't know if you can see, but my eyebrows are a bit out of control. He's going to help me blade my eyebrows later. This is amazing stuff. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You got to get your biscuits into that, degenerate tier, all right? It's lots of value, right, Nate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's move through the best for points here. So yeah, I am again, as I usually do, basing this off the off nights when you can actually get them into your lineup for sure. But again, for yourself, figure out if you got an open spot on the Thursday, if you got an open spot on the Tuesday, what have you. That opens up different streamers, and you should weight that kind of appropriately. If you can find a guy who will get in your lineup for 3 nights instead of 2, that's obviously going to be, just giving you 50% more chances to get some points for your squad. As it is, though, I have Troy Terry at the top of this list, Tom Wilson, Dylan Strome. I think probably all 3 of those guys I'd probably consider a tier together, kind of at the top of this list in my mind. Most likely to get you some points in the upcoming week. Connor McMichael, I felt like I had to put him up this high. Yeah, just with what he's been able to do, the underlying metrics are right there. So yeah, until that falls off, I'm going to be pretty excited. Teuvo Teravainen, I do think he's going to turn some things around. He was maybe too hot the first couple of games, then went way too cold. The reality is somewhere in the middle, and I think we get some production out of him next week. Gustav Nyquist, Leo Carlsson, Victor Arvidsson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Tyler Bertuzzi. All of these guys are a little bit more kind of in the same category for me at the moment. But yeah, you can kind of go through these guys, figure out who fits with your particular lineup for the week, and take who you want. Anybody on here you disagree with, Blake, or anybody you'd like to add?
I'm just happy you're giving PLD his flowers. All right, 9th overall. This is again just a banner day. I love it. How can we put Wilson over Strome? I'm just interested in that.
Wilson. So they've been moving around these lines, right? And Strome, I think specifically, they've moved him away from Ovechkin at times, which I didn't really think was an option before. Strome's not on the top power play at the moment, which is kind of the other portion of this. I feel like it's most likely that he gets back there, but with McMichael so hot, I don't know if it happens immediately.
Yep.
So yeah, really it's just Wilson is getting all the minutes at even strength and top power play, and Strome is not at the current moment. I could be convinced that Strome should go back up there if he gets back on the top power play anytime in the next couple games here. Let's move on then to the hits and blocks. So the best for hits, Jeremy Lauzon, no surprise there. Tom Wilson, yeah, Wilson also does that, right? So definitely a guy probably rostered in most bangers leagues at this point, especially with how well he's been putting the biscuit in the basket to boot. But definitely shows up here. Marcus Foligno, big time hitter. Cole Smith and Luke Shen from Nashville as well. Both guys that you can get into your lineup early next week with those off nights on Monday, Wednesday, and then kind of get yourself staked out to a bit of a hits lead, hopefully there. Best for blocks, Radko Gudas, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, definitely, especially if Chychrun is out for any longer period of time. Van Riemsdyk does block a lot, and he could get even more if he's getting more ice time. Simon Edvinsson, Lauzon shows up on this list as well, and Alex Vlasic from Chicago. Any additions you'd like to see here, Blake?
No, I'm happy. This is AAA 27-day aged prime rib roast. All right, rump roast. I love this beef right here.
All right. Let's move on to Hold Me. Hold Me is the segment where we talk about the players that we might want to hold for the rest of the season, not just add for a week, but add for the rest of the season. There's still tons of forwards out there. I'm going to fly through this list, but there are tons of guys that I would consider very likely to pop off and actually stay on your roster. Maybe not for the entire season, but definitely for an extended period. You got JJ Peterka, you got Dylan Strome, you got Kirill Marchenko, you got Gabriel Velarde absolutely popping off. Josh Norris, Troy Terry, Sean Monahan, Nick Schmaltz, Yegor Chinnikov, Tom Wilson, Igor Sharangovich, Casey Middlestat, Logan Cooley, Matthew Nyes. There are lots of things that I could say about a lot of these players. Peterka, I will note when I made this list, I had him at the top of this list, and then I found out that in the Buffalo game, he did get demoted off the top line for a bit there. So we'll have to keep our eyes on some practice lines moving forward and just make sure that that's not something that's going to continue for too long. I don't imagine that it will, but something to monitor there. Give the people some caution. Troy Terry, this is a guy that I've always been in on talent, basically since his breakout. And yeah, it seems like Cronin might be coming around. Maybe he's not going to be quite so awful. The power play one has been getting a little bit more run as of late. Terry himself has been getting more even strength play as of late. The cards are aligning at the current moment. I fully expect Greg Cronin to just take out my fantasy heart and stomp all over it once again, but damn it, I can't not be in on Troy Terry. So those are some guys that I like. And Logan Cooley, I should mention as well. Just want to mention that he's getting some better deployment as of late, playing with Clayton Keller and Dylan Genther on a line. I like that. That's pretty interesting for Logan Cooley. Still not on the top power play yet, but that would be the next step there. We've talked about it many times. There's probably some sort of logical progression as Logan Cooley becomes more defensively responsible, does all the things that young players in the league need to learn to get to that next level. As he starts to get to that next level, it does make sense to me that Logan Cooley gets more and more ice time, and yeah, exposure to Clayton Keller, that's not going to hurt. Anything from this list that sticks out to you, Blake?
No, it's a great list. Like you said, there's a lot we can say, but JG Paterka at 37%. I mean, as long as he's on power play one, that's still way low.
Absolutely. Let's move down the list. There's still more to go. Sub 20% roster. There's still plenty of players here. Barrett Hayton, William Eklund, Leo Carlson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Connor McMichael, Adam Fantilli, Jordan Eberle, Cutter Gauthier, Connor Garland, Marco Rossi. I think any of these guys could stick on your roster for some time. Obviously, McMichael has really good metrics at the moment. Eklund is looking like a guy who might play 21 minutes a night all year, so that's exciting. Adam Fantilli, I love the talent there. Yeah, there's just some guys here that I can get excited about. These are the kind of guys that I want to, pick up when they have a good week, a good schedule, and then see if they can kind of mature into something a little bit more long lasting on my team. That's what I'd like to do with these sub 20% rostered guys. Also got a list of sub 10%. We got Dorofiev, got Pacioretty, Doc, Ryan Hartman. I wanted to shout out here just on the off chance that we do get some movement up the lineup. Yeah, I think that Hartman is a pretty legit offensive player. They may decide that he's just better suited as their third line center, and for that reason, we won't have much interest for fantasy. But when given the opportunity, I do think Hartman will produce more often than not. And then Jack Roslovic, just wanted to throw in here because he's been doing the thing, playing on top line with Aho and with Svechnikov there. And that's a pretty good spot to be. The minutes definitely haven't been there. 14 minutes average time on ice, but 12 shots per 60, 9th individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 7th Corsi 4 per 60, 20th on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. All the metrics are there for Jack Roslovic at this moment. Probably Jack Roslovic is going to be that guy that he's always been, where he pops off for like 3 weeks and then you never hear from him again for the rest of the season. That's the most likely case. But at 1% rostered, this is a guy you can add right now, get him on your roster, and then just see where it goes from here. Anything from the lower rostered players, Blake?
You know who is pacing for a higher point total than Jack Roslovic? Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Oh, I'm surprised you didn't add him, Nate, but that's fine. That's hurtful. That's a little petty. I didn't realize what awesome metrics Roslovic has. Sheesh. What is he doing?
Yep, doing the thing at the moment.
It.
All right, let's move over to defense. Like I said, when I made the sheet, Clark was below 50%, so I had him as my top defense option. Probably gone in most serious leagues, but I do have Zellweger right behind as my next most interesting player at the moment. Yeah, I just think this guy's got a ton of offensive talent, and it could happen for him this year. I'm not saying it will, but it definitely could. He's only 4% rostered out there, so definitely a player that you can still pick up. Justin Folk has dipped down below 50% again because he's been pretty terrible for the last little bit, quite honestly. It sounds like St. Louis is going to try some new power play lines here. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Blake? What do you think about the new power play setup? They got Falk and Broberg on the top power play, and then Kairu Buchnevich and Neighbors as the forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but again, I'm going to shout out Jack Hahn. This is something he was talking about, is where when you move a defenseman over to the flank there, which is what Falk is doing now, it's like, yeah, that's fine, and he has a great shot, but like that's still a defenseman in a spot where a forward should probably be. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think it's good for Broberg. It's jury's out whether it's going to be for good for Falk, but I mean. I don't know. He's not a power play one guy at this point in his career, I don't think. And that was kind of known going into it. Like, he's still valuable, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I like Broberg there though. I think, I think he could maybe stick on there if things don't really work out well.
Yeah, definitely a chance. Broberg makes the list as well. He's 27% rostered. Other ones I got on here, OEL on the Leafs. Still getting a lot of minutes. Still a pretty good chance that he goes back on the top power play at some point throughout the season. So he's on the list. Lane Hudson, Owen Power. Owen Power had a nice game today. 6 shots and a goal. So he's definitely still hanging around here. Jamie Drysdale, Jake Wallman, the others on the list. Always going to have some interest in Wallman because he shoots. He hasn't been blocking as much, which is kind of weird, but he does shoot, and so he's always going to have the chance to pop off for double-digit goals in any given season. And so I am still waiting to see what kind of shakes out of all this power play movement. Obviously, Liljegren, it looks like he's going to get some run there, at least in this next game. And so Liljegren, if I go to the sub 20% roster defenseman, Liljegren is right there behind Zellweger as my next most interesting at the moment. I just want to see what's going on here. We got David Severson on here. We got Alex Vlasic on here.
The pickle.
There's not much exciting once you start to get down to the dregs of the defenseman for sure. But Liljegren is a guy that, you know what, I might honestly just snap him up now, especially if you're in like Bangers Cats. He does some of that. He's instantly like probably a top pair, definitely top 4 defenseman for the San Jose Sharks. So he's going to get minutes. I think he can do a lot worse than Liljegren at the moment. Any thoughts on the rest of the defensemen, Blake?
No, I mean, at this point, it's like, it's like just throw a dart at a board and whoever you get. I mean, get Owen Zellweger for sure, but the other guys, I don't know. I like the spec ad on Liljegren though.
All right, then over to the goaltenders. What do you make of this with Annunen at this point, Blake? I think everybody's aware who's been following the situation in the Colorado net. So he had a 4-game run where he started every game. The last game he still won, but allowed 4 goals after having, 3 pretty terrific starts, all things considered. Wins the game 5-4 against Ottawa, but does allow 4 goals. Then, Kakkonen gets a game, and he hasn't played in 2 straight now. Like it seems like, and guess what? They've lost both games. So logic dictates to me that we should see Annunen back in, and he's been pretty good. So, I think the most likely scenario is that Annunen is pretty valuable once again pretty soon. But we all know about the myth of rational coaching in the NHL. So, what's your take here, Blake? What should we do with just this Annunen? I still think the ceiling is just so sky high here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an interview recently with Jared Bednar, and he was just talking about how they're not going to roll 3 goalies. Like, they can't do it for very long. So I think it was sort of a wing and a prayer, like getting Kakkonen in here, like, oh, maybe he can breathe some life into this position. But I mean, that's what Annunen is already doing. You know what I mean? So the guy, like, one thing with Georgiev and Kakkonen in his game is like they're giving up early goals, like right away. That's deflating. And then you're playing from behind all night. Whereas Annunen, he's obviously shown out the best. Like, I think long term, Annunen he'll probably run with it here for a little bit. If he gets the next start, I think, we're rolling with Annunen for a bit. But Georgie is still the guy here. They're gonna want Georgiev back in here. They're not going to pull a Tristan Jarry and put this guy down to wherever. I think they're committed to that guy, but he's not bringing it right now, and that's really obvious. So I think what'll happen is short term Annunen, long term Georgiev's going to be back in there.
Yep. Sounds about right to me. I am throwing Charlie Lindgren in here still. I know the results haven't been terrific, but yeah, I mean, it's not his fault that the Capitals are suddenly a wagon and
Yeah.
he's not getting any shots. And so if he allows 3 goals, it's like a terrible night, even if he wins. Yeah, I think you can do worse than Lindgren still for sure. Just be aware it is pretty much a 50-50 timeshare there in Washington. It seems to be working for them at the moment, so I don't see a good reason for them to go away from it. Down below 25% rostered, we get into Samuel Urson, who's had a couple of really nice starts back to back here, including a shutout. You got Petr Mrazek, who's been okay. I don't know that I'd go much higher than that
Mhm.
in my estimation of his
Yep.
play so far, but getting volume, which is kind of the key portion here, especially if you're in one of those leagues that just truly values volume, get you those fantasy points. Mrazek can do that. Elvis Merzlikins, we got to put on here. I was interested in Tarasov. I added Tarasov in multiple places at the beginning of last week. I saw the 4-game week. I was like, I get 2 games at least and probably 3. And then Merzlikins comes in the first night. He pitches a shutout and he started, or no, he got 1 goal against in the first one there against Edmonton,
Yep.
unbelievably, and then blanks the Islanders, which apparently anybody can do. Now against Winnipeg, he gives up 6 goals, a ton of shots against in this one. So yeah. Um, Such is life, I guess, with Elvis Merzlikins at any given point. But what do you think about Merzlikins at this point? What do you think about Tarasov? What do you think about the Columbus net?
It's too much variance for me. I feel like those two guys, like at least Columbus is better. They're playing better under Dean Evison. So yeah, these are reasonable streams, but they're just that. They're not a guy like you said. If you think you can get 2 games out of them for a week, like yeah, sure, go ahead and add them. But you just tried that and they flipped it on its head, right? So I don't like that variance. So I'm probably out for now. But it's nice to know that the Columbus net is somewhere you can actually go to try and get a win. You know, once we see who's confirmed, like snap that guy up and get the biz.
Yep. Yeah, I think you can. I will note the underlying metrics at 585 not been good
Mhm.
for Columbus over the last couple of weeks. 6-game sample is what I'm looking at here. Yeah, I think it's probably more than likely that Columbus has some sort of regression from the start that they've had.
Mhm.
Maybe this game against Winnipeg, obviously Winnipeg playing out of their minds for most of the season so far. Maybe this game against Winnipeg starts a bit of a downward trend, just some yeah regression. Not
Yep.
anything really about the way they're playing, but just some regression to where they should be, which is probably a little bit further down. I do want to mention, just to throw out there, Nedeljkovic and Picard in Edmonton. Do you got any thoughts on these two, Blake? I think there might be something here, but it's definitely going to have to take some work to get at it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both are rosterable. Like Nedeljkovic, like I am concerned about Jari for sure. Like the way that they're sort of treating him, it's like Samsonov last year, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. And Ned has came in last year, played really well. He's playing okay this year. That's fine. So yeah, I think he's the goalie to own there. But Blomqvist is pretty good too, right? Like he's had some good outings. So again, a little bit too much variance there. Picard's an interesting one because I don't know what they're going to do there because Skinner has put some poor games together and Picard's come in and won some games. And I've seen Skinner dropped in some spots, which is pretty neat because he's like 92% rostered for the most part. But yeah, I think even 3 leagues I'm in, Skinner is on the wire.
Hmm.
And it's just weird. Like it gives me a little bit of pause. Like I would imagine they go back to Skinner. I think he's the better goalie in real life. Like Picard is kind of, he doesn't have any expectations on him. And I think he's just playing with house money where Skinner is like there's expectations just on the Oilers. So yeah, I think you can stream Picard in. He reminds me of Eric Comrie, right? Like it's just a guy you get in, but I mean Picard's getting a few more starts. So yeah, I don't even know. I'm just rambling, but I did pick up Picard. I've picked him up for 2 1-game streams, and he won both those games for me. So I got some love for Picard. Plus, he's got an epic name. One of my favorite captain for Star Trek in general. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, I'd bring up Picard mostly because he got the game against Detroit. Yeah, then Skinner gets shelled against Columbus, and Picard comes right back
Yeah.
and beats Nashville 5-1. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this net going forward. If it turns into a bit more of a 50-50, I think you got to sit up and take notice of that. All right, Blake, we need to move along. We're running along.
We did it
It's a bit
again.
of a beefer, but we need to talk about the head-to-head streamer deathmatch. And unfortunately, you ripped off my top ranks, Gabriel Velarde, my top ranked streamer from last week, and you just kind of like what's that? Pin the tail on the donkey. You did that, and you landed on Gabriel Velarde, and he's absolutely popping off. 23.75 points in 3 games so far. Marchenko's not been terrible, but he's randomly stopped shooting a little bit the last few games. So he's got 3 assists in 3 games, 10.75 points. But yeah, do you want to take your victory lap now, or are you going to save it for Sunday?
I'll save it for Sunday, but I mean, everything's just coming up exactly how I planned, Nate. And I'll tell you, yeah, you're killing my vibe. All right. I knew Velarde was going to pop off. All right. No, I didn't. All right. But basically, yeah, you showed weakness. I pounced. You gave me your pick. I just had to pick that, right? That's how I'm trying to, double negative you. I don't know where to go with that.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it comes to my attention that we should probably make some picks for this week. I'm considering going off the board on this one because I'm not in love with what we've got from the 4-game teams this week. You got, as we've mentioned before, but you got Minnesota, New Jersey, Nashville, and Los Angeles, and none of these guys are really doing it for me at the moment. So I am considering going all the way to a 3-game team. Do I dare?
Do you dare?
Do I dare give up a game played to get somebody? I think I will. I think I'm going with it. I'm going with my guy from last year. I'm going with Dylan Strome. I know I said it.
5% under?
Oh, is he not? That's a good point.
Now you're just trying
probably
to cheat.
Too high.
You're trying to cheat me out of wins, you son of a gun. You. Oh my God.
You're probably right. He's probably over.
You see what I have to deal with here, folks?
Yeah.
I mean, this right here, this is typical. Okay, this is just typical. He's down 3-1. All right. And yeah, he's starting to get a little squirrely. He's trying to take Dylan Strome, folks. If you take PLD, I'll let you have it, Nate.
If I take PLD.
Yeah, that's a deal. That's a deal right there.
It's very generous of you to give me PLD. Yeah, so Strome is over 25%, which I definitely should have realized when I was doing this.
It's late where Nate is, everyone.
It's very late. It's 2:37 a.m. here, and I'm trying to make a pick. Man, I might end up just going back and doing it. I don't want to do it though. It feels bad. It feels bad. The player, anyone who I'm going to say here, it feels bad.
I know. I had the same
honest. Thing. Is Troy Terry under 25% rostered? Because at least I can feel good about that player. Troy Terry is 20% rostered. There we go. Troy Terry, lock it in.
I like that. All right. I like that, but I'm not going crazy the way you are, buddy. All right. That stinks. All right. I gotta get my extra game in. I think I'm gonna have some fun this week here. I'm gonna take Alex Laferriere. All right. Just for fun. All right. You got the 4-game week. This man pops off with the best of them, and I'm here for it. All right. Alex Laferriere, FTW for the win.
All right. Well, if you've made it through all of this, you should definitely click the link in the description to join the Apples and Geos Discord community. We got, 1,500 fantasy managers in there talking shop every single day. So get your buns in there and join the fun. If you'd like to give back in some way to what we're doing here, the best way to do that would be to like the video, rate the podcast, review, subscribe, comment. All those things are the best thing that you can do for us. We do really appreciate every single one of those actions that you can take to support what we're putting out for the people. But that's going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which I'm told is a terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band they're there for supplying this music for this podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.